Welcome to Beers with Contractors.
Tradies, welcome to another episode of Beers with Contractors. Terry, cheers to you, sir.
Cheers, Will.
Sorry, we're trying to level up our maturity here. And then I feel like as we age, Terry, like our IQ and emotional intelligence keep getting less and less. And we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence today with our guest.
Yeah, so unlike fine wine, we are not getting better with age.
No, we are not. Goodness gracious. But you know, with AI, we're going to look like amazing with some filters here soon enough. We'll start carrying avatars, and then we'll actually just be sitting over there drinking beers, watching AI generate our podcast, and our ratings go up because it'll probably be better. Anyway, tradies, I love this episode. I've been waiting to get this guy on for months, by the way. He's a very good friend of mine. I've known him over 10 years. And man, he has taught me. So you guys have probably seen some of my episodes about business operations and sales. Well, you know, we didn't all get here alone, right? I didn't wake up one morning and start spewing out intelligence.
You can still have it.
I mean, I pick it up from people smarter than me. And when finally I ask enough, i.e. sales, you got to ask a few times, right? You get one of the guys that's taught you all this stuff over the years on the show, and he thinks he's showing up as a guest, but really we're thankful we got him. Yeah. Anyway, our guest today, Jeff Peters, a national home service sales expert and trainer. And man, I don't see how this guy can stay in one time zone for as long as he does, because I mean, he's bouncing all over the country. But what I also love about Jeff is he has an awesome podcast called Elevate In-Home Sales. So our guest today, Jeff Peters, host of Elevate In-Home Sales. Jeff, cheers to you, sir.
Cheers to you guys. Thanks for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, man. Listen, I want to dive into this because when you think of sales trainers, you think of like, hoorah, beat your chest, Wolf of Wall Street. You've never given me that kind of vibe at all.
Like, you mean like the muscular guys that are, have all the, the perfect smile and the muscles and the teeth and, just like with all the Facebook ads. I don't remind you of that?
No, listen, stop talking about roofers that way. Seriously, guys. Like, Jeff, keep focused here.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, there's probably some stereotypes there too about those guys have like tribal sleeves, and I'm sitting here with tattoos all over my arms.
Oh, he's saying that, talking about sales guy, and I know you. I'm like, that's not the sales guy I know.
Hey, well, hold on, because I think you would agree with this, Jeff. Like when people, like we got into sales, and if you're an owner, guess what? You're in sales, right? I mean, we never really thought we would get into that. That's not something in elementary school. It's like, what do you want to do for a living? I want to get into sales, right? So I know that's the same for you. So how did you make this your passion and your craft?
Man, that's a great question. So yeah, back in the day, I was kind of in the search for a new change of career and a new opportunity. And the local dealer here, I live in Omaha, Nebraska. There was a company here that I had heard that does like foundation and concrete repair, but the main thing I heard about them was that they had a great culture. And so I applied and I got hired, and again, not having any sales background, because you're right, it's not what I had dreamed of going into, not having any construction background whatsoever. One of my first questions to them was like, how do I make it? Like, how do I become successful? And they said, well, we are going to pour into you, we're going to train you, and then we're going to hold you accountable, and we're going to just give you good leadership. And I said, well, that seems easy enough. I think I can make that work. And so I did the role of a sales rep for a full year. And I think after the first year in one of the annual banquets or whatever, I think it was recognized as like one of the top 20 sales reps in the country as far as like ADL and net sales go. And it kind of blew me away, because what I loved about the job was that I got to just help homeowners out. I got to go into their home and help them with an issue that they had and provide a better outcome for them for a problem they were worried about. And then that spiraled into coaching. I love to coach. I love to help people out. I love to hopefully be motivating. And so that journey took me to the job I have now, like just as a coach and a sales coach, that training sales processes, training about products, but really helping people see a different paradigm, helping them see how, as I'm sure we'll probably unpack today, how so many salespeople think they're so great to the sales world. And calmly and nicely telling them you're not that good. So,
Chris is gonna have a blast laughing out the giggles. Like, because this is what I got some questions in here. Terry's got the next one, but you push into the norms, and we're gonna dive into those.
So Jeff, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about sales in general, and what do you think it takes to become good in in-home sales?
So I think the misconception from, I would say, people who are in sales as sales reps is that, and I've done so many interviews just this past week for, a sales rep role to helping a company that is hiring and just kind of helping them out, listening to doing these interviews. And the number one thing I hear is, oh, I'm just so good with people. I just, I can talk to anybody. That's what traditional sales tells you. I mean, that is like the Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, just like that's what it is. And what I've found is that the common misconception is I can talk to a lot of people. Well, I'm sure you can, but how many people are you annoying because you're not listening? Great sales reps, elite sales reps in the country are the ones who can ask questions and the ones who listen more to the customer than, try to smooth talk them or whatever. And so that's honestly why I started this podcast, is to bring light into this world of sales, because it does have such a misconception internally, externally. And ultimately, I love this idea or phrase that sales is actually a noble profession. If you think about it, I mean, people have needs, you're providing a service of sorts, and it's a noble profession to go into someone's home and have integrity and to earn their business. Not everyone can do that, but it's not this sleazy car salesman approach. It's not I can sell, ketchup to an Eskimo, whatever the saying is. It's asking good questions, listening, not trying to be liked, chasing professional rapport, not social rapport. And there's just so many layers to it. I feel like I'm rambling. I don't even remember the question. But
well, no, and this is kind of funny because we're going to get into a few layers of this, and you were mentioning about, people buying from people they don't, or people thinking they buy from people they like, right? That's one of your best episodes. I think it is funny, the format of your podcast is like 14 to 18 minutes, because Jeff, a lot of bad salespeople are not good at listening, so you got them just long enough to where they can get. I'm just kidding. This is not a podcast to make fun of salespeople, because, by the way, I have seen the difference, back to the noble aspect, from when you work with my sales team, and then the difference after not only the customer satisfaction part. Yeah, we get to see increased sales numbers, which is great, but it's also the jobs go better. And we have higher gross profit margin from them. So there's that aspect of it. But let's rewind back, because we got a lot of companies that, well, you mentioned in one episode, number one quality of top sales reps. And this wasn't the exact quality, but you mentioned in that episode that good sales reps follow the process even when it's boring. And it's kind of funny. It's I have been there. Holy shit, I've been there, where it's I have said this thing 150 times in 2 weeks. Anyway, but I think we as owners and managers, we're yeah, you do it, but we get caught in the same funk, where we feel like we have to reinvent the wheel. So when we get in that slump as owners and managers about, well, we need to get back to the frickin' process. What have you done to dislodge owners and managers from that?
Oh my gosh. That is the number one thing I wish I could shake every manager and be like, dude, don't quit trying to be smart or, just literally be a slave to the process and just train that and work on it. I think it goes back to understanding the why behind why you do certain things, such as a confirmation call. And doing the elite sales reps do the process even when it's boring. What I'm saying in there is, the fact is, there are so many times you maybe, if you're not careful and you're not analyzing what you're doing, you may be stray away from the process. And then on top of that, the homeowner moves forward with you. And so you get this positive reaction or a positive outcome to a negative reaction, something negative. And then you start telling yourself lies of, I got really bored. I was listening to this great podcast, Beers with Contractors, and I forgot to make the confirmation call. And guess what? They still bought. Well, maybe the confirmation call isn't important. Well, we know it's important. We know all these things add up over time. And it's doing all the little things every single time so that you are putting all the chips in your corner, that by the end of the appointment, the odds are in your favor, that they see the value bucket way bigger than the cost of the project.
Well, I think that's probably adjacent to also, Jeff. I'm sure you see this where you're trying to train a sales rep into a process. And then it's like, all right, then they go right along with the owner, and the owner doesn't follow the process at all. And then they're like, oh, well, they don't follow the process. So like, and I think you see that founders or owners sales closing ratios are super high because they have the name, disregard the process. But that's not scalable. Like, how do you like smack somebody on the wrist around that and be like, actually, you've smacked me around a few times, like, stop doing that.
We don't, this is a PG podcast. I thought like I don't tell you where I smacked you before, but no.
Oh, no, they'll bleep you out. Listen, watch. Ready? Chris he'll cut it all out. You're good.
That was perfect. Right. So with that, we always, like, one of the rules that I have if I'm working with a team, and sorry, I'm going to give you a real example of something I heard last week.
We need names, Jeff. Let's go. I probably know.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you know, but
building.
Yeah, right.
You're right. No, this rep was he was role playing this, like showing findings. Basically, he's completed his inspection. He's going to walk a homeowner through, and we're role playing. I'm the homeowner, and he's walking me through talking about concrete and how it settles and why it settles, and then he's also talking about the surface. And in this role play, this guy was trying to make the comparison that, concrete has pores, just like a sponge or your skin. And if it's not taken care of, moisture can get in those pores and deteriorate the surface of the concrete. And that's the whole gist of it. But what he said in the role play, he said, concrete, it has pores kind of like your face. You ever get a pimple on your face? And I said, yeah. He's like, when you pop that pimple, your face heals. Concrete doesn't. And I stopped, and the room, all 10 other sales reps were like, oh, I love that line. And I said, no. It's not, we are not going to say that. But it's basically the reason the owners and managers have, especially the owners, have that success without following the process is because they have the confidence. I mean, they built it. They can speak to what they can do with 100% certainty because it is their name on the line. And again, reps, the reason a process is important is because it keeps you consistent every single time. And again, the process, I don't have a process that I charge for. I mean, like, it's not something where if you say all these words, I get 5 cents of commission or anything like that. There's no kickback. So why would I give you something that doesn't work? Why would I train you something that wouldn't work in the long run? Because your success is my success. And like, that's ultimately what we're after there.
Now, Jeff, I mean, you and Will, you guys are talking about this process, right? But say I'm a new person, I just started my business, right? How do I come up with that process to begin with? Like, I don't know what works. I've just been throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what's going to stick.
Yeah. So, and that's where trying to bring these simple sales truths is really, again, why I started this podcast. Because I think even whether you are a new person in sales or even in ownership of a business, or you're a vet, like sometimes we just do some silly things that just doesn't make sense. Number one, like one of the biggest mistakes I see people do is they give a price or a ballpark price so early in the process. And the reason is because, like, once price is involved, if you haven't built any value, your opportunity to build value closes. And so, like, coaching reps to, if a customer calls you out for a problem that you're not sure you can fix, or you might need more information in the story, don't tell them in the first 10 minutes, I'm really not sure if I can help, but I'll give it a go. And, for new owners and people trying to get in this that don't have a process, it's working with them to say, what do you do currently? And what do we need to do in order to help build that value bucket before we talk and ask for the business?
Yeah. So what you're saying, Jeff, is like the process exists. It just needs documentation and building off or getting rid of.
Yeah.
things.
That's a good way to put it. Everyone has their own, probably, you have a process whether you know it or not, and that process could change every single time because it's not documented or scalable, and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Well, and I hate this because it sounds like I'm downplaying it. And by the way, how do they get a hold of you, Jeff, when they're talking about ironing out processes and stuff?
So yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me. Email is getelevatesales@gmail.com is the best way to go about that.
Yeah, because I talk about this with a lot of folks, and I think it sounds weird to say it, but you've taught me this. Sometimes sales is not in the flashy things. It's in the mundane things that customers are not getting from anybody else. Like you mentioned, a confirmation call. It's like,
Right.
most contractors they're like, where the hell are you? I got a time block, right? So, I want you to add a little bit to that. Like, good sales processes are kind of in the mundane. I mean, would you agree?
Oh yeah. And that's, again, one of those things where, as one of the constant things I'm trying to work with reps is to help them understand. Again, I say this tongue in cheek because I am one. I have been there. And so I'm saying this so much to myself as I'm saying it to you. It's like, again, you're not that good, or you might think you are. You may try to explain things rather than ask questions to help guide the customer. And so the process in doing the little things, it's so easy. It's so easy. If a customer asks a question, a generic question that I think would apply to a lot of different industries is, well, if this was your home, what would you do? And it's really easy for a sales rep to answer that question honestly and even truthfully, and with like, well, if this was my home, I would do X, Y, Z. And even if they truly believe it and they're not just trying to sell the customer something, even just something like that in and of itself can only likely be taken as salesy to the customer, because they're like, well, at the end of the day, what else is he supposed to say? Of course, he's going to say, do this. Even if he believes it truly, it's not going to be relatable to the customer. And so one of the processes in this case, or customer messaging we would train, is to say, all right, whenever you get this question, instead of answering it, turn it back to the customer and ask them, say, well, I get that question a lot, but it's not my home. This is your home. And you called me out because you said you needed X, Y, Z. Is that something you still want? Well, if it is, then this is what's going to get you that. And, helping the customer discover that answer to that question, because it is their home. And again, like, having that process is going to make sure you're staying within that playing field and not going freestyle on the court.
Now, Jeff, I mean, you train salespeople nationwide, right? So what are some of the differences that you're seeing between markets that are performing at the top of their game and those that are under?
Gosh,
And actually,
man, there's so many layers.
I want to add a
Go ahead.
flavor to this.
Oh,
Jeff. Sorry, I gotta brag on
a
Jeff.
flavor?
We're gonna throw a little spice on this, some
Ooh.
seasoning on this conversation. Because I know, Jeff, you hear this, and I hear it too. Like, that won't work in my market
Oh yeah.
all the time. And there's a story, I can't remember what year it was. Jeff and I were talking about this because he had to go to like somewhere in middle of nowhere, Louisiana. Same thing. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
They're like, nah, people won't buy that stuff here. That doesn't work in our market. And he goes, well, let me come down and try it. And he was going down there to train. Actually, Jeff, I'm sorry, you tell this story. This is a brilliant story.
This is one of my favorite stories of my whole entire career. Yeah. So this guy in Louisiana, he was a new dealer in our network. And anyway, he was selling like these, for foundation repair, he was selling like concrete piles or concrete piers, which basically it's a chunk of concrete you try to push into the ground as far as you can, and you can't get them that deep. And they're charging like $350, $400 for them. So I go down there and I say, well, here's we have, steel piers, and we're going to sell these at the time. This was like, pre-COVID. So, I think it's $1,500 a pier, which you'd be like, gosh, that'd be nice to get back to that price. But he was right away. He's like, no way, man. And he was the owner, which also meant it was just him and another guy. So owner, GM, and sales manager and rep was this guy's title. And so I said, well, let's just go down and let's see it. So I go to get to a home. The lady had settlement, and the reason she had us out is because, very Louisiana thing, her eggs went to one side of the frying pan on the counter when she was making breakfast. She didn't want her eggs to run on one side of the frying pan anymore. And I said, okay, well, let me show you how we can fix that. And it showed her about $35,000 worth of product that we needed to do. And I said, hey, how soon you plan on making a decision? She's like, well, there's absolutely no way I can do this. And the owner at the time, like, basically was going to he was like putting his hands on the table to get up and leave. Like, he was like, oh, she said no. Okay, see you later. And I just said, okay, well, hold on a second. Like, what other projects do you have? You mentioned before you had other projects. And she's like, well, I'm going to get new windows in here next month. And in that moment, I knew I had the answer. But again, I couldn't tell her. If I just told her why that was a bad idea, that it wouldn't be real in her world. So I started asking her questions. And I said, okay, ma'am, when they come and put these windows in, are they going to hang them level or are they going to hang them crooked? And she kind of looked at me like, well, that's kind of a dumb question, but they're going to hang them level. And I said, well, yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, you're going to pay them thousands of dollars. I hope they hang them in level. Now, when we come in and we raise your foundation afterwards, what's going to happen to the windows? Oh, I guess that's going to make them crooked. Yeah. And we're going to raise your foundation so that your eggs don't run to one side of the counter. And she said, well, so what you're saying is I probably should do that first. And I said, I mean, wouldn't you agree that would make sense? She's like, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. And got her checkbook. Like, just right then and there.
It's all about eggs. It's not about.
It's all about the eggs.
It's all about eggs.
Expensive eggs.
And we hear that all the time. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work here. People aren't like that here. And we like to just come back with that one and say, oh, that's interesting. Really, the only people in the entire world that are just a little different happen to be right here, huh? I mean, like, it's just.
Well, and for sake of time, he's cutting that story short because then he left and sold like a $40,000 job right after that.
Right after that, the next one was the guy. It was a married couple. They've been married for like 40 years. And I said, hey, if everything looks good, we'll schedule an installation date after we're done here. And the wife looked at me and she said, hey, honey, I'm telling you, I've been married to this guy for 40 years. He never makes a decision that day. And he just kind of smiled. He's like, she's right. He has never made a decision that day. Well, I must have been the guy that cracked the code because we walked out with a signed deal that day. So, I mean, you just got to stick in and ask good questions.
He left without, he didn't have a shirt on at the end of it.
I just want to know if he's getting commission off these sales.
Yeah.
No.
He's training. That's the funny thing is he doesn't get it. Yeah. Well, I think that's a unique case study. Sorry, you had a market question, Terry, and it totally derailed us. Like, I think, and I have this thought about sales that because owners and managers and salespeople are naturally bad at selling, they gravitate toward those lesser quality products. And now those get pushed to market, which don't provide a long-term solution, which then thus give contractors and home sales people a bad name. Mm-hmm. In this example, you talked about a concrete product is $300 versus a steel product, which is $1,500. Most people will be like, I can't sell that. And it's like, well, you need to, because it's the right engineering thing to do. Mm-hmm. But you see this, the markets go towards that cheaper because it's easier and we're bad at selling. And now, granted, you and I know it's not about the product, it's about the eggs, right?
Right.
Terry, what the hell was your question about markets? I totally went 88 feet on us right there. I just knew that. I had no intention of bringing up that story, Jeff. That I remember talking to you that week when that happened. I was like, that was sick.
Well, what I was trying to get at is there's a difference between top performing markets and underperforming markets.
Oh, yeah. Jeff, answer that question.
Jeff C.
Well, you know what? No, this is perfect.
Yeah,
it all circles back.
Will?
I mean, I can't.
You go out and he's going to ask you a question about yourself, and he's just going to keep talking.
Probably.
That's why Sydney and I have therapy calls together. But no. So I'm glad we're going full circle here, because to answer that question, one thing that I will say, it's not a regional thing, it's a mindset thing. And the underperforming regions, if you will, are the teams and reps that have the mindset of we're too expensive. They're too sympathetic towards hearing, you guys are the most expensive. This company is going to offer this, and they think it's about money. And it's never about like, if it's about money, yeah, that's why we're making these poorer decisions. It's a weaker decision to go with a weaker product, a cheaper product, because it's quote unquote easy. The elite reps and elite regions, elite teams are teams from the top down, from the owner to the manager to the trainers to whoever is from the very, very top all the way down, preach value day in and day out and what the value you bring to the community through your company. And, I'm an unapologetic Apple guy. I mean, I have, 3 Apple products sitting all right here. And that's the one thing I always say is like, Apple never apologizes for product. I always just talk about the value that they bring and the experiences that you're going to get with them. And the price is just the price at the end of it. I mean, that's not what it's about. It's never about the sale. It's about the experience and the value that you're going to get with the product.
And Will, what's really interesting is last week we were talking and you were talking about how Vesta brings part of your core value is what you do for the community. You're helping the community, you're uplifting it, and he's doing the same damn thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think relationships with businesses, they may start at a marketing point, but ultimately the genuine relationship starts with sales. And if you don't have the core values resonating through sales, I mean, yeah, you could learn all the fancy frickin' language you want off of something, you know who you are, Grant Cardone. Throw all your weirdo language out there. Contrapreneur. Yeah, quote that on TikTok. I mean, it's seriously like it's poisoning the well when it comes to this because people want, a solution to their problem. And the core values tie that intentionality to their values and so forth and so on. But yeah, if it's not communicated through, it's all about just numbers, when the numbers should be the byproduct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I want you to release the filter here a little bit on this next question, Jeff.
Oh,
Because
boy.
I know that in each one of your little lessons, there is a nightmare story behind it that you're not telling in your podcast.
Okay.
Like, for example, I love this episode of, what's it called? Let me see here. Yep. People don't buy from people they like. And because that is such a stigma. It's like, oh man, I could get along with frickin' anybody, man. I could get along with that wood post over there, right? But
Yeah.
I want to hear that. I love how you push against those norms in the sales side of like training in general. So why are you pushing into those norms? And then also I want to hear the backstory behind this. There had to have been a shit show sales appointment behind that story. All right, tradies, I know lead generation has been top of mind for all of us this last year and going into 2026. So let me put you onto a marketing team I actually trust, Greenbaum Steyer's Strategic Marketing Group. And oh yeah, they're friends and network affiliate of ours, but I'm telling you straight, these guys are different. Most marketing agents, they've never worn boots. They never dealt with seasonality, weird leads, price shoppers, no shows. Mrs. Johnson calling you back 3 times because her basement feels wet. Greenbaum Steyer's was literally born out of a successful foundation repair and waterproofing company like mine, so they actually understand how our businesses work. They've been doing this since 2017. They're a full-service branding website. They convert with SEO, compounding over time, traditional media buying, and of course, lead generation that makes the phone ring. But the big thing is strategy. They're focused on helping you overcome what's holding you back, tighten up your systems, and hit real goals. Profitable goals, and not just some vanity metrics and pretty reports that you can brag about at some conference. So if you're tired of guessing, tired of wasting money, and you want a team that knows contractors and knows how to drive results, go check out Greenbaum Steyer's Strategic Marketing Group. Tell them Will and Terry sent you. Their website's greenbaumsteyers.com. That's GreenbaumSteyers.com. I'll put it in the link. Keep grinding out there, tradies.
I'll be honest. Like the first time I was talking about this with a buddy. Like it was an interesting concept, and again, a lot of these things just kind of start from these conversations of just saying something and then diving into it. But it was realizing again the reason why salespeople are annoying is because they think that they are likable and they try and chase that, and they come into your house and they say, "Oh, hey, look, you like the Nebraska Cornhuskers," and just like, yeah, like. Oh, did you catch the game? And here's the thing. People don't even probably realize they're doing it. And sometimes we'll say they're not even doing that necessarily almost to be liked. They do it for themselves because they're uncomfortable. because they want to be like, because of their personality, like they kind of crave that. So the more you start talking about it and realizing what that is doing or is not doing, it's just like you realize that by chasing social rapport, it's actually making it harder to earn the business. And I guess I'll use this example before I'm trying to figure out which story I want to tell, but I've ran appointments for people I know, like close friends. They had issues back in the day. And so I go and run an appointment, and you want to know the people that actually was the hardest to run the process for was those people, because I knew them. And I was like caught in this weird in between. And when I asked them for the business and they gave me an objection, I didn't feel like I could push them because I liked them. And I didn't ask all the questions because I wanted to respect them almost more. And again, not that we shouldn't be respecting customers, but it's this weird game of chasing sociability, or this wanting to be liked. It is just so far from reality. Again, like if I have an issue with my back, or if I have like a health issue, I'm not going to a doctor and saying, hey, I know you're probably, I hope you're pretty good, but like, what's your favorite team, by the way? Because if you're a Iowa Hawkeye fan, like I just can't work with you. I don't care if you're the best. I can't do it. I mean, it's just silly, like, to think that we would ever do that. But okay, so the story, I was going back and forth. This was another one of those like stories that will stick with me probably forever. So we train on this in sales training. When we host, we have, hundreds of people come in and we train on this topic: professional rapport versus social rapport, and how typical sales training, majority of sales training out there is teaching how to relate, how to chase that social rapport, how to get on a personal level. And so we were talking through this. Well, one guy raised his hand and he said, Jeff, I'm going to call BS. Luckily, I was tenured enough to where I love when people call BS.
Yeah, it's like a seasoned comedian. Like, bring on the heckles, right? Like the Matt Rife of sales training. Love it.
Yeah. So like, thank you for having a pulse and a personality, and at least bold enough to say it. So like, he's like, okay. I was like, well, okay, let's hear you out. And so he starts in and he says, well, so I actually belong to, I'm doing online classes through Rapport University. I think that was the name.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if he was serious or not, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is a real thing out there. So he's like he's paying for these online classes for this like Rapport University. And he's like, they teach us in the first 5 minutes to compliment this person, to compliment someone that you work with. And I chime in and I said, well, okay, well, that's interesting because I've talked to you 5 times and you haven't said one nice thing about me, but it's fine. It's fine. No big deal. So, and the problem, and what the thing is, every other person in this room was kind of heckling him and just giving him the stink eye and rolling their eyes. And I said, well, hold on, let's time out. Let's actually play this out. And I invited him up on stage. I said, let's role play this thing. Show me how you would do this in an appointment. So we started role playing, and he was saying the customer messaging normal and fine. And then at the end, he just said, hey, by the way, Jeff, like, what kind of watch is that? And I said, oh, this is, the Garmin, Phoenix, whatever. He's like, oh man, that's really cool. And as soon as he said that, and then you start hearing heckles or kind of like laughter in the crowd. And I said, oh, thanks. And I said, was that it? Is that what they kind of teach you? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, let's be real. If I'm not as aware, I might not think of anything of it. I'm not thinking, oh, this guy's just trying to buy, make me buy whatever. I could take that very innocently and be like, okay, well, yeah, it is a cool watch. But here's the thing, at best, all that's going to do is make me remain neutral. It's not actually building any value. At worst, I'm thinking this guy's a douchebag and I don't want to, he's coming in my watch because he's going to make me want to like him to buy something. I can see right through that. And so I just looked at him and said, hey man, you may say that 97 times out of 100, and out of 97 times out of 100, it is neutral. Or I'll even say this, if you do it 97 times out of 100, and let's just say if it actually adds something to the value bucket, but the 3% it does, or the 3% it actually hurts and it takes away from a potential sale, why would I do anything to take away from a potential sale? If you never commented on my watch, I would think you're still the professional and the expert in your industry, and that will work 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, and
So
I'm giving away a little bit of some of that episode. And I love this episode because I know you were dying inside, Jeff. You give an example of, because you're an avid golfer. You're a good golfer. You
Thank
love
you.
golf. It's starting to warm up where you're at. So I know you're itching to get on the course. And this customer that you use in the story goes down, has nothing but golf stuff on the walls. Yeah. And I know you were just like a dog on a bone. Like, I really just genuinely want to talk about it. And you never talked about golf.
Yeah.
And then they viewed you as the professional, right? It's like so hard to refrain from.
I literally thought so. I was being punked because after we kind of rolled this training out, I went to run this appointment. And yes, not only that, they lived on a golf course. They had golf memorabilia from the Masters and the Open, and they had signed flags from Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. They had pictures of these guys. And then like my mindset person, like the person I always think of on appointments was my grandma, and she had recently passed, and they had dogs that were clones of my grandma's dog. I'm telling myself, don't ask about the dog. Don't talk about golf. And it was so hard because it's like I saw things I've never seen before in my life with the memorabilia and stuff that they had. And then I get to the end. Yes. Fast forward. I give them a solution to help fix their home. They said, yes, we'll move forward with it. And then as their husband's going to grab the check, or no, the wife went to go grab the checkbook. The husband looked at me and he just said, hey, can we just tell you, like, we're just so thankful you've been so thorough and just so professional. My wife is is crazy sick and has stage 4 cancer, and we're just not sure what the future holds. And this was one of the big things we need to get checked off the list. And so we just want to thank you for being a professional. And I walked out of that house thinking, dear God, like what if just being a nice guy, I would have commented about the golf stuff and the dogs. And what if they would have looked and saw me as a sales guy at that point and not move forward? Like, how crappy would that be? So it blew me away that I saw the fruits of that training so fast.
Yeah. My wife says, keep the main thing, the main thing. And sorry, Terry, I got to tell you a funny story that taught me the hard lesson about rapport building. I was right along with the sales rep. I probably told it on this podcast. And then this person's like, oh, hey, you got a nice house. And I'm just sitting there, just riding along. And they're like, oh, wow. Oh, love that picture. And it goes over that picture. He's like, so you like the Beatles? And the customer's like, what? What do you mean? They're like, oh, it's John Lennon. Very cool. And he's like, that's my wife. It's like, bro, go sit in the car. I'll take this over. He was just trying to build rapport, right? Like, keep the main thing, the main thing.
Now, Jeff, I mean, you talk about what some of the mistakes young salespeople are going to make. I teach young professionals, college kids getting ready to go out. So they go out and they'll interview for jobs and stuff like that. What's the difference between selling a product and selling yourself if you're talking with some of these young people and like you just don't want to see them make the same mistake that Will's made time and again?
Yeah. I'll screw it up. I'm going to still screw it up.
First off,
you're not throwing me under the bus. I take that as a compliment.
You're driving that bus.
It's like that line from The Office where Dwight's like, I'd ask myself, would I do that? And then would an idiot do that? And if that idiot would, I don't do that thing. You could put a picture of Will up there and say, would Will do it? Then don't do that thing. No.
Don't do what Will does.
Well, I think that's on the safety poster back in my office.
Yeah. So again, I would just say like, yes, I feel like what I want to provide is sales coaching, but I would say it bleeds so much more over to, and I don't want to sound too generic, but like life coaching, if you will. the amount of interviews I've sat in where I can tell these young kids are trying to give me the LinkedIn Chat GPT answer for what they think I want to hear. And the one thing I would tell your class is you have got to be real and authentic, and don't come off as if you're perfect, because the more perfect you try to come off, the more unauthentic I think you are. Because it's not, I mean, everyone has faults, everyone has shortcomings. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I have to acknowledge those weaknesses, because I can't just abandon those things just because I don't like to stay organized maybe, or I don't like to do certain things. Doesn't mean that I'm absolved of those things. I just have to be a little aware of them. And again, the people that when I interview for jobs, the ones that I pass through, it's way less about their qualifications and what they've done. It's more about who they are as a genuine person and the answers I get from them. Like one of the most favorite questions I love to ask in an interview is, if I were to go to your friends and family right now and call them up and ask them, what annoys you about this person? What do you think they're going to say?
Mm-hmm.
And I get the Michael Scott answer, right? I get the Michael Scott answer of, I just care too much. I'm like, really? That annoys people? Wow.
Detail oriented.
But that's the answers I get. And I just smile. Really? That annoys people? It's not the overly aggressive head nods that you're doing, or, the toe tap or whatever. So, just, you got to be real. And if you truly care and you want a growth and you have a growth mindset, you're going to go far.
Well, I wish you could be like in every, obviously, training class that we have, Jeff, but not everybody can have you access 24/7, including me. So now I want to talk about a little bit of the training aspect, because you've spent years crafting that now. Like, it's not just the process and that, but now you're having to multiply the knowledge across multiple people. So to somebody out there that may have a team of 2, 3, heck, 5 people, what are the major things, the non-negotiables that they need to do with their trainings and just get really good at it?
Okay, man. I'm glad I'm a couple of years in here to start talking about role play.
Yeah, this is where it gets spicy. Yeah. This is where Chris really has to dance around editing.
Yeah. Non-negotiables, obviously, and somewhat industry specific or company specific, but what are those things that ultimately, like, and make sure they're known, number one, like, what are the non-negotiables as far as giving a remarkable customer experience? What does that mean? So let's come up with a list of non-negotiables, like table stakes. And the different, like, these aren't rules. Rules are just meant to be somewhat tried to follow and broken. Like, these are our commitments almost to, like, what these are. And so number one, making them known and talking about them every chance you get, every sales meeting, you're talking and bringing up these things. Hey, did we leave a proposal every appointment this week? Did we make sure that we followed up on every call that we say we did? And again, transparency and honesty. So those are like maybe some higher level things, but really, if I'm a manager of a small team or a large team, the one thing that I have found, again, with the elite teams, is that they role play and they practice really hard. So they either role play certain scenarios, and what I've found, and Will, you know this, like we talk about role play forever, but I would say in the last couple of years, I've really started to get my attention more on the feedback. It's because what I find is people give really, really weak feedback, whether it's the manager or the team themselves. A guy gets up and everyone has compassion or empathy for the person getting up to role play. That I thank God they didn't call my name. I'm glad I'm not the one up there. And this guy is a middle of the road performer, and he gets maybe 50% of the scripting. He kind of bombs it, but he limps through it. And the feedback's always like, oh yeah, he did pretty good. I mean, he made good eye contact. His tone was good. And I'm just like, I want to say, guys, I'm not worried about him and his performance. I'm worried about your guys' self-evaluation, or your ability to evaluate and give feedback. Like, this is terrible.
Your evaluation girlfriend.
Right. You must not really like him, because like your feedback is very weak. And so you just got to be real. I mean, gosh, that's another, like, again, attributes of an all-star. You are coachable. Like, you get coaching, you're coaching, like, you go pursue coaching, but you're also coachable. Like, you're humble enough to know I still need work. I'm still not perfect. I'm still growing. And anytime I get weak feedback, like, we do trainings and every time obviously our goal in training and coaching calls that I do, I expect to hear, wow, this was really impactful. And I expect that because, like, that just the level of, like, passion I have towards this, I hope, like, that should be what you get out of it. But when I say, and I ask the question, like, what could be better? What could be different? And people are like, nothing. This was great. I was like, like, you got to help me out. There's probably something I could have done a little bit better. And seeking that advice is another key thing, that you have to deliver really good feedback in role play and expect it from, if I'm a manager, expecting better feedback from the guys to hold their own team accountable.
Now, Jeff, I've heard from people I really respect that your podcast, just a few episodes in, is really filling a need and in delivering good content. And Will likes it too. So, but what is another podcast that deals with sales that you would recommend people listen to?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, just full transparency, again, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I don't have a ton of other sales specific podcasts that I listen to, partly because they are more of the social or the common generalities of what bad sales reps are.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I do love this podcast. It's helped open my eyes and ideas in my mind about different things, different concepts out there, as far as what other people are doing in their industry. So, like, not to just be a brown noser and kiss Will's butt, but no, this is a great podcast. I know.
Yeah. I was like,
he acts all
notes,
tough.
like, I wonder what podcast he's
Right.
I was like, I wonder if it's like Huberman or something like Smartless or something.
No.
Diary of a CEO. I don't. Such a doofus. I'm like,
Well, I'm sitting here, Jeff, and you're talking about sales, and in my aspect, in my understanding, right? You're in the home service business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you take someone who's in some completely different segment of a different industry, like say it's cosmetics or something outside of that. The sales principles are going to be the same, right?
ladies, running your small business can be demanding. You got suppliers you got to work with. You're managing crews. Hell, you're chasing sales. It's a lot to take in. Listen, if you want to grow your business, you got to stop working in it and you got to start working on it. So that's where my friends at Foundation Rescue Supply come in. You're not just getting foundation repair products and waterproofing products and air quality control products. With their nationwide distribution, you're getting a partner who knows how to help you scale. And that's why I use them. The Foundation Rescue Supply team has industry knowledge that'll help make your life easier. You get the tools, the trainings, the systems that you need to move the needle. You want your sales team to close more leads? Done, because they have the proven process for that. You need your crews to work smarter, not harder? Done. Their installation training will get you out there and rocking and rolling in the field. With Foundation Rescue Supply, you're not just buying materials here. You're buying a better business system that they have helped create. And you sell more, you install more, and you grow your team. So the bottom line is this: you get best industry pricing, you get field productivity on track, and you get more revenue out of everybody on your team. So this is your chance to step up, scale up, and thrive. If you are ready to make that happen, head to foundationrescuesupply.com, check out their catalog, and speak to my friends, their team, how you can take beyond the products with your company with Foundation Rescue Supply.
100%. It all goes back to, again, the customer interaction. And I'll just say, like, the best thing a sales rep can do is ask questions.
Well, so hold on. This is Jeff. I gotta pause you right there.
Okay.
Like that rapport coaching guy. No. Because every sales trainer does really good at saying you got to be good at asking questions, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But you've done really good, and this is where I'm complimenting. Like, yeah, questions are leading to what is the customer trying to frickin' tell you? Because it's never about the products. It's never really about the products, right? And You taught me that. Like, no. Stop a little bit and be like, heck, what's the example you gave me years ago? Like, well, I'm selling the house, and you're like, well, okay, cool. Where are you moving? And then you kept going deeper, and then you find out it's because they're moving to be with their grandkids or something. I'm like, oh, that's what you mean by asking questions. Oh, okay, I get it. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to figure out, because this will likely be a future podcast topic, and I'm not sure if I want to do it in phases or whatnot. But like, so I have this training that I built out a handful of years ago called the Power of Questions, and I tell the story. I open up the training with this story. So I remember I was at the state fair years ago. So I have two girls, I have two kids. I'm a single dad, and someone told me, "Hey, what would be a great idea? You should take your kids to the state fair." Again, I think that person hated me. It's just like, but I'm I'm too
both
dumb.
shaking our heads like,
Yeah, right.
no, bro.
It's like, man, if you want to feel good about yourself, you should go to a state fair and just look around. I mean, that's just
By yourself, right?
yeah. But I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. So I drag my two kids, and I mean, they're in stroller stage, and it's hot and sweaty and gross and dusty and windy and all the things. And after 2 hours of miserable life, I'm walking around, and I'm this close to the exit. My kids see the petting zoo. They run off to the petting zoo, and I'm like this close to like exiting the state fair and getting in the car and driving 2 hours. And I look over to my left, and there was a row of massage chairs, like they had a booth. And I go in, the guy working the booth like looked at me, and he was like, hold, this dude needs some help. So he's like, hey, want to come sit in these chairs? And I said, yeah, I did. And it's like one of those full body engrossing chairs. It was amazing. And after 10 minutes, he comes back and he says, hey, you mind if I ask you some questions? And I said, yeah, sure. As long as I don't have to get up, I don't care. He said, do you have anything in your life that causes you stress? And I said, yeah, you see those two girls over there? And on top of that, I work with this guy called Will Blake. And no, I'm just joking.
Constantly texting me on a Sunday.
Yeah. And he's like, okay. And so then he asked, do you like work out or play any sports? And I said, well, I play golf quite a bit. And he's like, do you have any back injuries or, any soreness from golf? I said, yeah, oh yeah, quite a bit. Depends on how many holes I play and how many beers I drink. But yeah, I can definitely get sore. Okay. Do you get a professional massage ever? Have you ever gotten one? He's like, yeah. Let me ask, what stops you from getting them more often? And I said, well, time and money, if I'm honest, because like when I want one, I want it now. I don't want to book one. And, they're not cheap. Oh, really? How much does a good massage, like a professional massage cost? And I said, I don't know, $100. He's okay. What if you could get a massage like you're having now for like $35 a month? And I froze. I was like, where's the pen? Like,
yeah,
where do I sign up? And I ultimately didn't. I did not purchase a chair. And honestly, I swear to God, like the only reason I probably didn't is my parents were there, and I never would have heard the end of that story. Of like, I just randomly bought this massage chair. But I had zero. The thing is, I drove 2 hours back home. My kids were passed out because they were exhausted, and this stuck with me. Like, what happened? Because if I would have sat down in that chair, and this guy would have said, hey, can I tell you about the features and benefits of this chair? Like, this has 45 massaging touch points, and the competitor's 35, and ours has a unlimited warranty or whatever, and the competitors only have a 10-year limited warranty, and ours has heated and cool settings. The competitors only have heated. I would have been like, cool, that's great. There's no way I would have been even closer buying this chair. But to the point of asking questions, there's two types of questions: is guiding questions and investigative questions. And like helping coach the differences between the two is one of the mainstays of that training. And that's how it played out for real in my life. And that's when I became very, very passionate about training reps on how to ask questions rather than use statements.
I mean, to be honest, Jeff, I want to go buy a massage chair right now. Like,
and you don't play golf.
I think you just sold me, but
That's actually Jeff's next business, by the way. What's the link? to
Yeah,
that?
actually, yeah. Elevate massage
It was
chairs.
all one big elaborate setup. Just to sell fucking massage
Here's my
chairs.
gift.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, listen, you are doing such a service to the industry. I respect you as a friend. I also respect you as a mentor because I've pushed against you too. We've challenged
yeah.
each other, but then it's like,
That's great.
screw you, Jeff. You're right.
Don't
And then
you
just
know,
scurry
stop
up
it.
and-
I've learned much more from you as well. You've been great, and being down and training your team is always a joy. And every interaction I have with you, it's been great. So I've been looking forward to this probably way more than you have, as much as kind as you guys have been. This has been great.
Yeah. See, look at us, Terry. See, it started out rough, but now we got the respect of the man, right? Well, Jeff, I love you. I appreciate you, everything you're doing. To all you tradies out there, listen, hit Jeff up. We got the stuff down in the show notes, but we will see you guys next week on another episode of Beers with Contractors. See you guys.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beers with Contractors. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Before we say our final goodbyes, a friendly reminder. Beers with Contractors encourages responsible drinking. If you choose to enjoy a beverage during our time together, please do so in moderation and only if you're of legal drinking age in your country or state. Furthermore, the advice and insights shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always consult with professionals and experts in your field, and be sure to follow local laws and regulations regarding licensing and permits. We're here to help, entertain, and inspire, but your safety and compliance are important. So, as you head out into the world of construction and contracting, remember to build responsibly and make decisions that stand the test of time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Beers with Contractors. Until then, cheers to your success.